You are going to begin your leader with 50-pound monofilament. We use 50-pound monofilament because it doesn't stretch that much. Leave the line on the spool, just pull a little bit of it off, tie in a perfection loop. Now, instead of making this video super long about knots, I'm going to put links to all the knots that I'm tying in this video down below so you can get a better idea. But watch this video because I want to go into a little bit more detail that those knot tying tutorials won't tell you, because we're using really huge line here. 38 inches. Now I'm gonna cut that off. I'm gonna put the perfection loop on my finger, and then I'm gonna grab and start stretching. Don't use tools for this. Tools will make this leader too hot and it will damage the leader. And if the leader is damaged, you have more of a chance of breaking the leader, even if it's 50 pounds. In humans, we start feeling super heat at about 105, 106 degrees, so it feels like it burns. That's about what temperature you want to get this at. And you're using your hands so you can feel how hot your leader is getting. And then stretch it and pull and let it cool. Should look like that after you're done. I use 100-pound monofilament, and I use these cool little things. Here, look at how much memory that has. Grab the spool, and this is why I love these things, because you can put a lot of tension on them. Your line, and start stretching. Now this is really good practice for strip setting. So you just keep working this guy until you're nice and hot in the core. Now what you're doing is you're really realigning a lot of these molecules by heating it up. And that's why it helps when you're cooling it off to keep tension on it, because those molecules will then reset in a new place instead of being reset in the same place they were before. You always know a person that ties a lot of musky leaders because they don't have thumbprints. Okay, now it's getting nice and hot. Oh, ouch. Keep tension on this and let it cool. It's gonna take about 10 seconds to cool, so you wanna keep tension on it here for the entire time that it cools. Not bad. That's what you want your leader to look like. Now on the end, it's gonna have this little kink in it because of where you held it. That's cool because you're gonna use it to tie a knot anyway. Keep it on the spool. Then we'll get the butt section that we tied a second ago, and we're gonna tie a double uni knot. This is the tag end of the 100-pound. This is the main end of the 100-pound. I'm gonna make a loop in this, and I'm only gonna wrap this 100-pound section twice. It's way too big if you wrap it any more than that. And I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of tension on this. I'm just grabbing it with pliers because I didn't make the tag end too long. And just get it kind of tight there, not super tight. I'll flip the leader over. This is the tag end for the 50-pound. This is the 50-pound. On this end of the uni knot, I'm gonna do it 4 times. So this is where it's different than what you'll see in a tutorial. We're dealing with bigger lines here. Don't use the pliers on this one. Just get it hand tight, because if you use the pliers, you'll end up with a kink in your monofilament. Pull these two to where they're almost touching. Now give it a good look. So there's a loop on top that your 50-pound can slide underneath. We don't want that happening, and this is where we really tighten that 100-pound. So grab the 100-pound by the side that you're gonna tie your fly onto, grab the tag end with a pair of pliers and pull. Do the same thing to the 50-pound. Just pull them together where they touch, look at it, make sure your knot's not slipping underneath the other knot, and then give them a ton of force. I mean, really pull on them, because you're cinching the knot and you're also testing the knot. And with monofilament, it's a little bit stretchy, so when you pull it real tight, it makes a tighter, more condensed knot that doesn't come apart. There it goes. I'm gonna cut off the tag end of the 50-pound. I always leave a tag end hanging off because I don't like my knots coming untied. 3/8 of an inch. I'm gonna leave that tag end on there. I'm going to fold these over the top of one another and pinch this knot together. So make sure that your 50-pound is going away from this tag end. And I'm going to protect the knot with my fingers. I'm just using the edge of the flame to flare the tip of the monofilament out. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not very close to it. That's it. You don't want to heat up that knot, and let that cool. Don't touch it. I've been inclined to touch it to see if it was cool. Just don't. Give it about 20 seconds. And it gets stuck on some lettuce every once in a while, but that really stops this knot from becoming untied. Measure out about 22 inches and cut that off from the spool now. Now you have a 4-foot leader, and you're going to use a no-slip mono knot. Real quick, make a overhand knot. This is the first knot you tie in your shoes. Thread your fly onto that leader. Make it down to about the size of a quarter. We're gonna continue that twist around and go through the original knot that we tied. We're gonna put 2 twists in this. If you're using 150 pound monofilament, just put 1. So I'm holding the tag end in the fly and I'm just pulling the leader out. So we have this big, huge, messy knot. Now I'm going to use all of my hands here, all 3 of them. So I'm going to hold the fly, pull the tag end, and then squish this knot down. That's better. We're going to cut off the tag end, leave about 3/8 of an inch again, and flare that end out. Now I'm going to use the lighter and heat up the knot. So I'm just using the edge of the flame. I'm not really burning the line itself, I'm heating it up. So I'm redistributing all of its little molecules. And then once it gets nice and warm, we'll pull it tight. Okay, now that it's nice and warm, I'm gonna pull this real tight and hold it. All right, so now that knot held in the exact same place that we had it. No matter how much you think it will come undone, this knot will not come undone. This knot will not come undone. All right, so that is the monofilament 4-foot-ish leader. And you want to stay around that 4-foot range. Steel leader. And same thing, get the your butt section and tie a perfection loop in it. 40 inches this time instead of 38. Straighten it out again. Now get your wire. I'm using 90 pound for this because I'm using the wire as weight. And you get 3 inches of it and you fold it over, make a loop like that, and just pinch it off. And you don't want to use pliers for this because you'll damage the nylon coating on the wire. So you just want to put a good kink in that leader. Now you get your 50 pound. This is the Albright knot. You go through the loop. I come around back and I'll wrap 5 times down and 4 times up. I'm going to go back through that loop the same way that I came into it. So when you get all your ducks in a row here, both ends, the main end and the tag end, should be coming out of the same side of the loop. Pull these tight, pull your knot up with your fingers just to get it nice and close to the top here. I'm going to grab this tag end again because we loosened it a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the main line and just crank on this thing. I mean, don't hesitate to do that because it'll give you more confidence when you're setting the hook on a muskie. So just really pull it down. Cut it off, give it about 3/8 of an inch of tag end. Protect this knot with your fingers and burn that tag end a little bit here. Flare that end out. And did I tell you to really pull on it to make sure that it's not gonna slip? Because these knots are notorious for slipping. You can use the exact same knot on your leader that you did with the 120 pound mono, the no slip mono knot. However, so it's a much easier way to do this. Instead of tying knots, you can use these little sleeves, and these are crimp sleeves. So if you have a crimper, then use these. To make the most reliable connection, use 2 sleeves. So I'm going to put 2 sleeves on this leader. I'm going to thread my fly through that, or thread the wire through the fly, and then I'm going to come back through these 2 sleeves. I'm not going to crimp that, but I just want to show you an example of how you can do this. That is probably the easiest way to tie on flies. You can use a split ring and just use split ring pliers to attach and detach flies. That is the most guaranteed connection if you're wanting to change a lot or you want something that's pretty quick to switch flies. Or you could just go with a full-on snap swivel. These things are really heavy and they affect the swim of your flies, so keep that in mind. You can also take off the swivel itself and just use the clasp. There's about 1 million clasps on the market. It's a good rule of thumb to use a clasp that's twice as heavy as your butt section. It's a good rule of thumb, yeah. Okay, a break-off section. So we're gonna get this 20-pound line. I've got a little section of about 12 inches of 20-pound line, and I'm gonna tie a perfection loop in that. Tied a really tiny perfection loop, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna get about 3 fingers up. So use your bottom 3 fingers, pinch here. That's where you're going to tie your fly, or tie your other perfection loop. Now don't do any burning on this one. This is just 20-pound line. You'll end up destroying it because we're trusting it to break at 20 pounds. not 10. And you have a loop-to-loop 20-pound brake section. Now this doesn't contribute to the stretch of your leader, so this is a great way to have a break-off section in your fly leader without having a super stretchy leader. Booyah! There may have been some stuff I missed. This leader isn't meant to be the end-all be-all of all musky leaders, but it is meant to be a stepping stone. There's 100 ways to rig leaders. You can go loop-to-loop connections on your flies and loop-to-loop connections on your leaders, and everything all loop-to-loop connections. I personally just like a straight shot, but there's a million different ways to rig these things. Tinker around with this leader. I mean, if you want to throw 60 or 70 pound mono on as your butt section, see how it reacts. See if it's about the same as 50 pound. You know, just play around with everything that's out there, learn your stuff, and try not to slice any muskies off in the meantime. So I've filmed this video about 400 times now, and I have all these leaders that are laying around, literally. I'm going to give away all of these leaders because I don't need them. I could just tie more of them. So if you really want a bag of leaders, share this video on Facebook and then comment that you shared. I don't know, maybe I'll pick somebody with the highest amount of likes on the comment on the video. I don't know. Yeah, well, I'll do that. We'll just say that. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative. I know it was a lot of talking on my end, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you very soon. I'm actually gonna go fishing